charged with doing African American Scholarship Bowl. You're charged with doing the STEP team. You're charged with doing anything black because you're the black. You're charged with doing those things. You're charged with being those space. That is another hat that you have to wear. And if you don't do those things...
Meanwhile, you're held to a higher standard as well.
A higher standard, a higher regard. You're held to... Not even a higher standard. You're
no,
held...
it's a higher standard.
I can't say it's a higher standard. You're held to a set of standards.
The reason I say a higher standard is because you probably got one or two times to fuck up. Somebody else... Yeah, we can get you some training.
Well, that's what happens when you're flying the milk.
Well,
that's what happens when you're flying the milk. You can easily see if I fuck up, it's readily visible to everybody. Because it wasn't one of the part of the White Women's Coalition that I used to call them.
We love y'all white women too.
I called them the White Women's Coalition, or the Coalition of White Women, which was COW, but that's something totally different. But
you're gonna have to fill me in later.
we'll talk about that off camera. Just hit me up in my.
Damn that! We're gonna be back with an episode. We talk about all that because we keep it real right here on the Jermaine House Show.
But when you're the one black male English teacher in a hall full of white women. Anything and everything that you do is going to be readily visible. Whether I mean for it to be visible or not. Everything that I say or do is going to be not held in high regard, but it's going to be held in a regard. Because you are now the face of black men.
So without pressure, you were categorized, as we all are, and put in a box.
You're put in a box because, and really I wasn't even categorized because there was no category for me up until that point.
You were the category.
I was the category. So when I had to speak up at a faculty meeting, was I speaking up as a teacher? Yes. Was I speaking up as a black man? Yes. Was I speaking up as a black male teacher? Yes. Was I speaking up as a black male English teacher in a hall full of white women? Yes. See, all of those things were simultaneously being on display. And I had to be those things. I didn't have a choice. When you are put in, that's when I got back earlier. I didn't have a choice. Sometimes when you're categorized,
you wasn't being graded on the curve at all.
No. Let me start by talking about one of my favorite quotes from a movie.
Okay.
It's from American Gangster. Frank Lucas is having a talk with the Italian mob Don. And Don looks over to him and he says, well, what's the matter, Frank? Success took a shot. What you gonna do? You gonna kill it? You gonna become unsuccessful? You can be successful and have enemies, Frank. Or you can become unsuccessful too. And you can have friends. That line right there cut so deep into my soul when he said it. Because so often we think we're sacrificing.
That was Mr. Idris Elba, by the way.
Who?
Wasn't that Idris talking to him?
No, not that part. That was when he was talking
to him. That wasn't that part. You're right. Idris got shot in the forehead in the middle.
Oh yeah, he's just an asshole. Shout out to Idris, by the way.
Shout out to my boy Idris, one of the greatest.
But when he said that, it cut into my soul so much because we sacrifice, or we think that we're sacrificing so much to achieve a level of success, when in all actuality, we're not. We can look at it from the standpoint of, hey, I've achieved this much. I am where I want to be, and I can be who I want to be now because I've done these things. But we have to remember, to get what you've got and to keep what you've got to do what you've already done. You've got to do what you've always done.
Implement the strong work ethic that you've always had in order to maintain it. See, people achieve success, but then it's hard to maintain it. Because
And why is that?
Because they get comfortable.
One.
I made it. I made it is the worst thing you could tell yourself when you're successful.
Why? Because you think that there's a finish line.
No, it's only a higher stature that you have to achieve. Once you get in that room of successful people, the first thing they're gonna ask you is, "What's next?"
Next.
And you like, "I'm here."
This plan A. We're done. This is plan A. Like you talking about some next. Like we've achieved success. We made our first million. We're done.
Then your investing partner just tell you, "I didn't invest for you to stop working. I invested because you worked so hard." There's the problem. And that's why.
Is it a sprint to the finish?
No.
Because that's the mentality that a lot of us have.
When you sprint anyway, you run out of gas. It's a marathon.
I'm glad you said that. It's a marathon. And what happens in a marathon? It's long distance.
Long distance.
You have to, it's not just running. Marathon is, anybody who's done long distance running knows that a marathon is not just running. No. It is training. It is knowing how to breathe. It's knowing when to slow down, when to speed up. It's knowing how to pace yourself. It's not just putting one leg in front of the other and getting to the finish line whenever you do, the fastest that you can.
A lot of conditioning mentally.
The
body gonna follow if you condition it right. And also there's decisions to make along the journey. Everything you learned along the way, you have to be equipped with. Once you get to that said goal of success, there's so much more beyond it that you're about to be exposed to because you reached another level. This life is about levels.
Level up.
It's not about, I got here, now I'm done. Thank y'all.
Good night.
If you're like that, it shows very quickly. It shows very quickly because people don't gravitate to that. They want to see more and more and more.
In today's society, you have to realize that out of sight is out of mind. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We don't possess the patience or the wherewithal to withstand long amounts of time between some of our favorite people doing the things that have made them famous in the first place. Mm-hmm. You disappear, you're gone. Mm-hmm. Like, back in the day, you had somebody that made a movie. It could be 3 and 4 years before they made another movie, but hey, that was cool. Or you had an artist that made an album. It could be a year or two before they made another album, and you were cool. Mm-hmm. Now, in today's society, I blame people like Lil Wayne that put out, so however much material and songs on mixtapes and song after song after song.
Consistent.
They were consistent. But their work ethic showed that they worked hard and they made sure that their fans constantly had something. But at the same time...
And you know what? Others, it didn't mean that they weren't hungry. I think they learned from oversaturation of... Some people learned the Prince and Michael Jackson formula, where the less you... And even a Beyonce. The less you see me, the more you need me.
See, but you have to get to that level first.
By the time I get back to you, you've yearned for it so long, anything tastes good.
See, you have to get to, and that's what people don't understand. Right. You have to get there first.
Get there first.
I get so irritated when I hear, like, I'm listening to XM radio, and they're doing these interviews with the artists talking about they're retiring after their second album. They're retired. Retire? What the hell? You plan for a goal, and you reach that goal, but you keep on going. One thing I used to tell my students is that when you're writing a paper, what you want to do is write a paper, but you want to save it. How do you save it? You go, you click, you get your mouse, you click, and you hit save as, and you save to whatever drive you save it on. Save it to your C drive or your hard disk or whatever. But then I tell them, hey, save it to a disk. Mm-hmm. So you'll also have this and you'll have that. And then what I say, hey, send it to your email. That way, if your disk mess up and your hard drive crashes, now it's in the cloud.
Yep.
I used to have a certain word for it.
You actually just gave them wisdom if they understood it.
What it is that, you always, first of all, you always have a plan B, you always have a plan C. You always make allowances for whatever situation or whatever may come your way.
Well, I might have just messed up every one of my fasts. Because I told them, I don't have a plan B or C. My plan B is to enforce plan A 100% of the time. And they was like, now that's pure drive. That's real deal. I said, listen, there's always a way. Certain people just gonna tell you no until you find a way. Sometimes that way has to be your way and not the way they've always seen it. That's just what I said. But what you said is absolutely correct. I just feel different about my dream.
I say the way I look at it.
I don't like planting bad seeds.
No, and of course, but I say this, your plan A involves plan B and plan C and plan A. Which means, hey, I'm not going to fail. I can't fail. I can't allow myself to fail. I can't allow myself to even focus on the negative. So I'm doing this, this, and this. See, there's your contingency plan. I'm doing this, this, and this. Your plan B and your plan C is already incorporated into your plan A.
Enforce plan A. Reinforce it.
It's reinforced. So I guess what I'm saying is your ceiling should always be above you.
Absolutely.
If you've hit your ceiling, then you didn't set your goals lofty enough. You're cheating yourself. You're not giving yourself the wherewithal to say, hey, I can push myself to be or do even more than what I currently have right now.
People like safety, security. They don't want to feel vulnerable.
People like safety and security, but more often than that, we talked about this last time too, which I encourage everybody please to go back and look at the last episode.
Yeah, go look at episode 1. It'll lead you right through all of this very smoothly.
We talked about happiness.
Mm-hmm.
People want to be happy.
They do.
The problem with happiness then is that when they reach a goal, they assume happiness. And when you assume happiness, people don't understand that happiness is temporary. It is an emotion. It is a fleeting thought. It is not something that is meant to be sustained over a long period of time. Now, you can be content. Now, don't mistake contentment for happiness. You can be content for the rest of your life. But at the same time, sometimes being content doesn't involve being happy. It doesn't involve being sad. The absence of happiness does not mean the presence of sadness. The absence of happiness does not mean the presence of dejections or depression or anything like that. But when you are content, you don't move. You can operate from a sense of safety and security. But the problem is, we shouldn't ever really be content when we're striving. If you're looking for change,
you better be uncomfortable.
You better be uncomfortable. Let me say something to all you Christians out there.
I'm very uncomfortable right now.
Let me tell you, if you go to church and you're comfortable every Sunday, you at the wrong church.
No conviction whatsoever.
No conviction. If you're going to school and you're not learning anything,
you dead in the water.
You dead in the water. If you go to work and you're looking for a promotion, but at the same time, you're not doing anything extra to achieve that promotion,
you cruising. You're going to be stagnant. Let me ask you this. What do you do? I'm going to ask you this for somebody that may be out there listening. Mm-hmm. It's a question I would have asked maybe 5 years ago.
All right.
What do you do when reality says, I'm overwhelmed? Because the success calls for you to push through without pause or accountability for being unstable. So what do you do when reality says, I'm overwhelmed, but you know for yourself, I got to push through and keep going? For the people out there that get in those complacency moments, those procrastination moments.
Look, I'm going to ask you then. It's something you said earlier. Mm-hmm. At this point, do you have a choice?
It's about choices all over again.
It's about choices all over again. So do you push through knowing that it could potentially be your demise? When you know that if you don't do the things that you need to do to be successful right now, you are in turn going to be a failure. Do you keep on pushing? Or do you stop knowing that you're probably going to wreck yourself anyway? Mm-hmm. That is your choice. That is a choice that you have to. That is a choice you have to make, and that is a chance you have to take.
And that's your weight to carry. Either way,
that's your albatross. That is the thing that hangs around your neck. And for a lot of people, it is those things do not equate to a fear of failure. Mm-mm. No. Those things equate to a fear of success
and balance. You got to know who you are in every situation.
Do you know
there's a time to push the limit, and there's the time to say that's not for me yet.
It's called. I've heard it called success phobia. Mm-hmm. I've heard it called success anxiety. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you deal with failure. The problem is you're dealing with your own shortcomings. Mm-hmm. When you're dealing with success, you're dealing with other people's view of how you are. When you're a success, you may not consider yourself a success, but other people do. When you're a failure, the first person that knows that failed is you.
Yeah.
So we have to learn how to, like you said, live in that balance. You know, if I'm looking to be successful, in whatever avenue that I am pursuing, be it music, be it art, be it my work, be it my job, be it my relationship, being, a relationship with my spouse or my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my children, my whatever. Mm-hmm. If I don't have that balance, if I don't know when to take my losses as well as my wins.
There's the big word, balance.
Balance makes you successful. Something I used to tell my
hardest thing to obtain is balance.
Something I used to discuss with my students all the time in writing. If they remember, and they'll remember this, any of my students, shout out to y'all.
They see you.
You see me. There was the three. Gosh, now see, and I taught this every semester, every class. Anyway, they're the three tenets.
It's a teacher out there that can relate right now.
Oh gosh, and there's the one word that you're looking to. Anyway, 3 schools of thought. You had logos, ethos, and pathos.
I actually know what you're talking about.
I discussed this in a lot of my classes. 3 schools of thought. Logos. What does logos deal with? Logos deals with logic. Mm-hmm. Anything that makes sense. You can make something make sense by using logic. 2 plus 2 equals 4. How do we know that? There's 2 of these things. There's also 2 of these things. I put them together. Logically, there's 4 of these things. It's logic. Logos. Pathos. Pathos means pathogen, or it means a path, or pathetic, but it deals with emotion. Mm-hmm. I'm happy, I'm sad, that's going to dictate the way that I react to something. These are the 2 schools of thought. Men deal in logic, generally speaking.
Yeah, because these days, they're more emotional than women. To me.
Look, I said that earlier under my breath, but you didn't catch it. But if y'all want to go back and look, I did say that. Women, again, I'm speaking in generalities, deal in emotion. Mm-hmm. Now, it takes a man and a woman to come together when they have 2 separate views of thought, or 2 schools of thought, or 2 arguments, and you put those together and you have the 3rd thing, which is called ethos. It is the balance of logic and emotion. Ethics. Ethics deals with, it doesn't just deal with laws, but it deals with morals. You put those 2 things together, you have something that is ethical. Something that may be morally right may not be lawfully right.
Right.
And vice versa. We see these things when we talk about Roe versus Wade. Women, should a woman have control over her body? Oh, can a woman abort a baby? Is it a baby? Is it just a fetus? These are things that morally we have to figure out. Is it logically right? Is it emotionally right? Is it ethically right? we have to put these things together. Once we stop trying to look at things from one standpoint and start understanding things from the other standpoint, then we can be successful. Then we can move forward. This is the example that I used to use all the time.
That's dope.
A man and a woman are sitting in bed. The man says, I'm thirsty.
Of course he did.
The woman says, I am thirsty. Now, when the man says I am thirsty, the woman reacts by saying, I too understand what it's like to be thirsty. Has she solved the riddle or the problem of the man's thirst?
No.
No.
She only agreed that we're in the same boat.
What is she saying? Like, I understand thirst.
I get it, baby.
I understand thirst. I get you, babe. Now, the man is frustrated because he didn't have anything to drink.
The man is dumb because he didn't get up and go get it.
No. Let me go back.
Okay.
Now, remember I said the woman also says, I am thirsty. The man goes up and gets her something to drink and goes right back to sleep.
In service of.
Now, the woman is upset because she doesn't feel that she has somebody that relates to her on the level of thirst.
Ain't that a bitch?
So now, while both of them had the same problem, both of them had a solution to that problem.
But neither one of them connected in the
But
middle.
neither one of them connected and solved the problem for the other person. That's the problem that we have with disagreements and arguments. That's the problem we have with success. Did I successfully take care of this problem over here? Did I successfully take care of that problem over there?
Well,
It could have easily been done.
In the room.
Depends on who was in the room.
So now I'm going to start saying, did you solve it? Depends on who was in the room. Tell me who was there, and I'll tell you if the problem's fixed or not.
Now, could that easily have been fixed? Now, let's meet in the middle. What could have been done for both of them to say, I'm satisfied?
The same thing I always say. A relationship is in the form of the top of a triangle. They both got their ass up and we got something to drink together and came back unthirsty. Same goal, just on different paths, but they met in the middle at the top.
Yeah. I'm thirsty. Come on. Let's both go get something to drink. We're going to talk about it on the way to get something to drink.
Yeah.
What would you like to drink? I think I'll have a coffee. Or maybe I'll pour a glass of wine. Okay, let's talk about this.
Then
Let's get there.
Come up with No Child Left Behind. Let's all go. Let's all go.
No child left behind also means no child gets ahead. But hey, that's a whole nother topic. That's a whole nother topic. We'll talk about that later.
We love y'all though. So we guaranteeing every time that it's out of love. You understand? So we gonna keep pushing. You got any closing words for the people? We thank y'all for coming out this evening.
I do. I just wanted to say that just remember that all of your successes and all of your failures make you the person of who you are. We are composed of all of our experiences, all of our trials, all of our tribulations, the people that we meet along the way. You know, don't forget about the small person, but at the same time, don't feel that you are chained or grounded to the people that made you who you are. You have an obligation to yourself to make sure that you're doing the right thing by yourself and by others and for others, but at the same time, you're not doing everything for the benefit of others. You are ultimately making sure that you win for yourself. Now, some people say that may be one of the most selfish things that you can do or one of the most selfish things that you can be or say, but at the end of the day, if you don't watch out for yourself, you cannot watch out for anybody else. If you do not take care of yourself, you cannot take care of anybody else. It starts with you. It ends with you. Okay. There may be other people along the way, but make sure that in your success, that in your line of professionalism, that you never forget who you are.
And I'm going to leave you with this. This is the Jermaine Hall Show with Collective Conversations. We absolutely have the utmost respect for each and every listener. We want to thank y'all for showing up this evening. We have episode 3 coming next week to you promptly. But go check me out on YouTube, The Jermaine Hall Show. Also, The Lions Network. Download it on Roku or Amazon Fire TV. Coming soon, Apple TV. We love y'all and thank y'all. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be right here with your boy. Here's a toast to each and every one of y'all. We love you.
I was wild as a juvenile. Mama had to struggle and she hustled for her only child. Let's just say that they just claim to hold it down. Let's just say that. Let's just say it's a lot of pain behind this smile. You won't catch me